بلقب عمر.
يعني اسم عائلة.
عمر.
هدير اسم المسرحي الاسم
هدير عمر.
هدير عمر.
عايز حاجة تانية ولا ايه؟ اديك زيادة.
حنحكي مع بعض.
اوكي.
الأستاذة هدير عمر.
يا لهوي.
This is gonna be in English.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Just
we still haven't made our mind يعني.
Well, ممكن we can jump around. You know, it's like
طب افتح من عندك عشان نشوف الصورة كيف.
All right.
We switch between Arabic and English. I don't mind.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I love it.
Right.
Yep.
Is it good?
It's awesome.
Can I tell you I'm actually addicted to coffee.
I am too. I'm actually waiting for this to end so I can get mine.
لا, you can get yours while you are on the podcast.
That's how we look like.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, people.
It's a privilege that people don't know that they can drink their coffee while.
Can we?
Yes, can. But
انتوا جبتوا منين الكوفي دي؟
we're already live
We're already live.
for the next times. يعني that's.
next time اوكي خلاص نبقى جاية مظبطة حالي. Okay. Because I didn't know.
Well, we always talk a lot before we kick off the episode, and that's the part of the podcast. If we actually combine the bloopers that we have, we could actually have a whole season.
We can be in the next Ajyal.
We can be in the next Ajyal with a documentary of our own.
That would be awesome.
You're
Yeah.
the only person that I met in Qatar who has the same middle name as I am,
No way.
which is Osman.
I don't have Osman in mind.
don't?
No.
Oh, God.
Who told you?
I've seen it.
What?
You're Hadeer Uthman, right?
No, I'm not. Oh my God, who told you? Is it Omar? Oh my God, because I had an exhibition that they changed my name from Omar to Osman.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed. And because of that, the curator, I named him, instead of Omar, I named him Osman for a very long time.
I have to tease you about
And yeah, so for him it's Osman for me now, from now on, just because of that.
It's a trigger. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I will change it. That would be like another name for me.
That's
You know
like
what?
will be your stage name, you know.
Yeah, the stage name. Yeah, I think I need one.
we have so much. I don't know where to begin. You're a work of art yourself. You have so much. طبعا, thank you so much for doing all this great work.
Thank you. I don't want to take credit, but I want to give credit to the people who inspired me to do those.
Yeah, not even us. It's like we didn't
Masterpieces, yeah,
inspire him.
Was this a dedication for me? I know
do
you told
that.
me about that.
Maybe.
العمارة مش مزيكا?
العمارة مش مزيكا.
What does that mean?
Was we had a lecture that was talking about how the structure of making architecture is kind of the same like music, and then there was a debate between people that they're saying no, it's not music. Amara is Amara, and music is music, and we're like, no, they're the same. And that was a chair that I was sitting on, and it has my bag. Can you see it?
Yes.
No?
Now it looks more obvious. It's a chair with a bag on it, and it says architecture is music.
It's not music.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it looks like a building just because of the abstractness that I'm using. But yeah.
Yeah. So Hadeer Omar is a visual artist, and this is her pocket creativity.
So why do you walk around with this all the time?
Yeah, I do. I started that like a year and a half ago, just because a lot of artists, they get ideas. It's like, it's like your journal.
Okay.
So that's my visual journal. So whenever I witness some sort of an event, and I know that I'm gonna lose it if I go home and wait for it. Yeah, I will lose the scene. It's like I will lose the moment that I witnessed.
I do the same thing while I write. And yesterday while I was on the show, I thought about something, and I was like, where's my note and paper?
The inspiration just came out.
Yeah. It happens in the worst timing. Just because you're driving or like.
And if you don't document it, it just fades away.
It fades. Yeah.
So kabsa.
Kabsa.
Is it the food or the situation?
No, it was the situation. There was some sort of a kabsa that happened.
What situation?
Nothing to share?
I don't even remember. That's the thing, just like these, like I think I wrote next to it when this. Wait, let me see.
Yeah.
Wait, because if this is like from.
The 90s, 80s?
No, that from March. So that's a very long time ago. That was like 9 months ago.
I love how we're handling this like it's, like a very divine kind of book. Like pass it down to generation to generation.
Yeah.
Just passing it on. So you're also a director.
Yeah, for Ajyal, yes. And basically, my relationship with film is very interesting because I started as a graphic designer and I was very interested in anything visual. So that's why they call us visual communicators. So because
Is that a new term or something?
this has been around for a bit now, and like visual artists, visual, it's like visual communicator is also for designers, like graphic designers. They use that term, but it's basically instead of because graphic design is very limiting, and
Okay.
a lot of people think that we just do branding and we do
Logos,
corporate stuff, and we're like
book covers.
we're beyond that, and it's like I think the whole world got over the fact that graphic designers just do that, and I think this region still we're raising awareness about this. So when you say visual communicator, it provokes people and be like they start asking questions. What do you mean with this? Which is great because if you say graphic designer and that's it, they're very limited with their own understanding about graphic design.
There's not a broad understanding of what a graphic designer is.
Definitely, yeah.
That's what I hate when they talk to me about the radio. They were like, you're a DJ. And I'm like, I'm not a DJ. No offense to DJs, but I'm just not a DJ.
Yeah,
I'm an
yeah,
RJ.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
They're like, what's the difference? And I was like, what do you mean, what's the difference? And I hate it because I get messages on daily basis. They're like, oh, good morning, DJ. I love your show. And I'm like, I'm not a DJ.
Well, yeah.
I went 6 years to school not to be a DJ. You know?
I think you can own it. It's like make a name
I
that's
know,
like a
and if you-
DJ something, and then you turn out to be not that.
So understanding how that frustration is when you in a certain kind of field and then people just limit you towards a certain box
Yeah.
that is actually broader than it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like even when I was studying graphic design, I understood that this is not something for me. That I'm not gonna be doing just graphic design forever, just being in front of my laptop. And I quit my first job like after 3 months because I felt
Really?
like it's not. I can't just sit in front of my laptop for days in an agency, for example.
You know what doesn't make sense? Or it does make sense. Also doesn't make sense.
Okay.
A mix of both. Have you noticed that throughout the seasons how many people we had on the show that quit their jobs?
Maybe everybody.
The longest was like 2 years for me. The longest would be 2 years.
I don't know what's the relationship between. We should start a career advising kind of like.
This will be on the documentary.
On the documentary.
Yeah.
How many people we had who are
Actually.
only job quitters?
But there is something that's called like a multi-potentialite or something like that.
Okay.
That's a term that they use for people that they like everything
Okay.
and they can't just focus on one thing.
You're one of those?
And I'm one of these people that is like I get interested in film. I'm just gonna be exploring in film. I like now VR. I'm interested in VR. I'm doing VR stuff.
Okay.
I'm interested in illustrations. So I start doodling and then translate them into different other mediums like on T-shirts, digital, not
You're really
digital.
enjoying this book, yeah. So.
Yeah.
لا, I'm trying to visually communicate because she's a visual communicator
Here's the thing. Like I don't like to talk about my work. I think it takes from it. It's like you have your own interpretation when you see things. It's better.
I see also that you are a calligraphist or
Calligrapher, yeah, that's it's not the traditional calligrapher in a sense that I'm using a lot of I'm breaking a lot of rules basically when it comes to Arabic calligraphy because it's a very structured was passed through generations just because it's you have your own book and guidelines to how to do it properly.
Okay.
But I learned it since very, very like long time ago when I was a little kid. I would be like very interested in the forms and the shapes, and for me I turned them to art forms instead of just showing them as if it's
I'm looking for the most interesting ones actually.
It's
What
zanat,
does it say?
it's zanat.
It's
I got caught.
What is it with you in Kabasted?
Well, that's the thing. Like you need to be in a situation that you don't know how to express. By words. So
Yeah.
for me, I put it into the sketch just to remember that these situations have been into it. So for example, I was going from Cairo to Alexandria with the car, and then I was passing this family that they're on the side of the road, and the whole family, the lady, she's wearing the niqab, and the guy and the two kids, they're just pushing the car because it was just like stopped working. So they're all pushing it, and then he jumped into the car, and they were still pushing it when the lady with the niqab is just pushing. And for me, this scene is just till now is stuck in my head. And at that time, I had to draw it because for me it was a very interesting scene.
Yeah, you
and
couldn't go just help them pushing. So.
I can't.
Yeah.
And then I was like.
Because it would be so human to do. So
She's the people.
Well.
She's like one of those in World Star.
Well.
Instead of breaking the fight, started screaming World Star and taking videos.
At least
World Star.
I tried to at least capture this moment because it's like what I do. I do street photography also.
Okay.
So for me, it's another way to document mundane moments that people will not even stop and stare at it. Like for them, it's like okay, whatever. A family's pushing it. But for me, it was there's some sort of a unity that happened, and this moment that was very beautiful to see the girl or the lady with a niqab and just pushing it and helping her, like her family. And
like
supporting them.
you didn't want to ruin the family moment by helping them.
Oh my
pushing.
God. He's not gonna leave it.
I'm not gonna let it go.
He's not gonna let it go. Yeah, exactly.
That's a part of the podcast.
He's
We're
not.
definitely not gonna let it go.
He's not.
So
That's
how long
amazing.
does it take you to do something like this?
10 minutes max. It depends. It depends on the. If I have it on in front of me, a real-time event, yeah, I can just sit and take my time. The rest, like of the 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just me adding.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome
it's
because
like,
you usually see people doing things on their phone and watching you around just doing whoops.
Yeah.
And you're using a Sharpie only here?
Yeah, I don't go. It's just like the thin ones and the thick ones. I have them with me.
So it's the one that has two ends, one thick and one thin one?
I have all kinds of Sharpies, like
Just to inspire the young artists.
so it depends. It depends. There are ones. So this one it has the calligraphy side.
Yes.
This one has the thick one.
Oh, they smell so
That's
good.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
this
it smells so good, definitely. I have a lot of friends that they just sniff Sharpies all the time.
We don't sniff that on our Hard Doha podcast.
Just saying.
We don't encourage sniffing.
Yes, we don't. We're not druggies.
It's
Don't
really
worry
good.
about it.
It's really good.
Very
You remind me of a story that one day I was walking in university and I saw a poster of someone, and by chance I had a Sharpie in my pocket.
Okay.
So I just went vandalizing the whole poster. It was a large poster, and I was drawing like sunglasses, stitches, mustaches to the people, and it was just that like. It was momental, you know. It's at that moment I have a Sharpie and there is a large poster. I had to put my touch in it, you know.
Why
Why did you feel like you have to put your touch in it? What's so
Yes.
magical about it?
I don't know. Maybe it was the only chance I get to vandalize something so popular.
Yeah, can you just
and people were writing about it in the internet, like who vandalized the poster
Oh my
in
God.
the university. And I was
So-
like, this is bad, yeah, man.
And you were like, it's me. You can't catch me.
So these ones, for example, I was telling you about them earlier. Like
Yeah, small rabbit.
my friend's kid, she started drawing these, like putting these mark lines and mark making, and then I started drawing on top of it and imagining this rabbit. The other one is
Can we
also
just show it?
Show the
Yeah.
camera, not Ahmed.
Yeah.
The camera's more
Okay.
important than Ahmed, basically. Here
But
you
it's
go. Thank you so much.
and the other one is also the same thing. It's just more abstract. So she did some marking, and I just went over it, and I started.
Nelly بترسم?
And yeah.
Nelly's drawing, basically.
Yeah, and she was sitting there while I was drawing on top of her drawing,
Yeah.
and the way she was very engaged when I was doing this, for me it was great because bonding with kids sometimes gets annoying. You know, it's like not every single kid you can. There's no chemistry sometimes, so it's good to find an alternative. And a lot of the parents, they give papers and some Sharpies, and they'll tell them, or like just pencils, colored pencils, and tell them to draw it, but they don't engage with them. They don't participate. And I like the dialogue between me and like a 3-year-old doing something. I love that.
And you feel like they're creative in their own way. Huh?
Yeah, definitely, and it inspired me because already I can see from what she draw, there's something that I can highlight, and it
Okay.
depends on my own interpretation. I will start highlighting maybe a box or some lines, or I'll draw the bunny on top of it because I imagined the bunny on top of that, but she was talking about something else. So I like that it will keep changing. If I gave it to her, she'll do something completely different on top of my drawing, and then it just keeps doing that. And I did that also with in the art foundation department where I used to work. I used to give a sheet of paper to one of the faculty. He draws, and then he gave it to pass it on me, and then I was like, I'll draw on top of his work, and then we give it to someone else, and he does like something
What's the
else.
psychology behind that?
And it's just that it's a collective artwork, you know. It's just like it's not done by you. It's not done by him. It's like all of us. We came, and it's like you don't know where did you start and where it ended, because it's like they're just layers and layers of information that they're different also techniques that shows each one of trying to put their like mark in there. Yeah, but it's different because.
But at the end, when someone tries to communicate with this art, is there any confusion, or there is a unity of what everybody is reflecting on the same art piece?
It depends. Like the ones that the collective one, it would be different every single time. Even my artwork, like it's just that I have a specific style that like people know that this is me drawing, but as a concept, yeah, it's completely different. You don't know. Like sometimes like my lines are very curvy. I don't go with like very rich. I don't do architectural drawings, or even if I did architecture like perspective drawings, still there's some sort of distortion that I do, and breaking the rules all the time. So the film in Ajyal actually is telling, like showing the.
Sorry, 1 second. The live video is paused. I just need to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
What's happening?
I was still recording here.
It is? Okay, I was just being silly.
So about the film in Ajyal.
Yeah, it's called The Reason, July 2017, because it was. I was exhibiting in one of the exhibitions my artwork, and I wanted to have a video next to it as a video art piece that explains why I do this work. It's like what comes into my mind when I draw these things. And it's not it's like when you watch a documentary about an artist talking about their work or drawing, and you're seeing the process, a lot of the times I get bored just because I'm expecting the narrative and how it will be structured in a film.
You seem like you get bored quick.
Yeah, a lot. Like I have to change. Like I have to change all the time. So for me, the structure of this film, I was like, I don't want to talk about in this film.
There's no talking.
I don't want. There's no dialogue. There's sound. There's a lot of sound, a lot of memories. So I was telling you later that before that, it was just like there are a lot of sound that I remember when I see, for example, the Sharpie. It reminds me of, I don't know, something that 5-year-old I was listening to when I was at that age, or like maybe Al-Azan, for example, or whatever, and I started distorting these sounds and just trying to make you feel that you're inside of my head. And there are a lot of flashbacks, so I'm using more than 10 years footage.
So you got a collective like archive stuff, and you just smash it up together.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And while this is happening and I'm remembering them, I'm producing the work, so you can get to see from where I'm getting the inspiration and the references. So a non-traditional narrative, I'm very interested in that, and I think for me, it's like what drives me usually is the idea, and then I look at the tool and then find if like, do I need to make it in a photography outcome, or is it gonna be a film? Is it gonna be? So it's not the opposite. Like a lot of the people, they stick with photography forever, and they just explore in photography. And I do take pictures with film because I was very interested in film photography. So I started having my own dark room on the side in my house and like developing it because I was interested in this medium. But then I got bored and I started like doing VR, and then I started like exploring that, but like they're all kind of supporting each other, the different mediums. And they support the same idea. So I'm very interested in identity disorder. I'm very interested in culture hacking. I'm very interested.
Culture hacking. What is culture hacking?
What is cultural hacking?
That was a concept or some sort of a process or a method that I was using in my thesis when I was doing my master's. And basically, in a lot of the times when you were talking about globalization or colonization, how we got affected as Arabs here, how when we look at systems that they've been built already in the West and we just take them and we use them instead of actually being innovative and start from scratch. Because for us, it's like we became lazy because we're like, oh, someone else is doing it for us. It's like we don't need to.
Or we can't come up with anything better, so just let's use what they have.
Yeah, exactly. Or just imitate them, or just like make a fake version of it, or whatever. Or just like so basically.
Just to let you on a little secret, I heard Doha podcast loves Western feminism.
Yeah. Why just Western?
We love
Why
feminism in the.
Why Western?
Just look at
I
his
don't-
face. Just look at his face.
We love feminism in general,
Okay.
Yes.
but why Western?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Mr.
not
Shaheen,
sure.
can you elaborate?
I'm not sure about the Western part.
Like,
I'm just but because
aren't we supporting an Arab artist right now?
we are.
Can't
That's
we
Well-
put it in the feminist
category of feminists. So we're like pro-feminist,
my work is a lot regarding to women anyway. So
Okay.
I don't need to call it feminism because I feel it's by just
Limiting
me,
you, right?
by just me producing work is showcasing women
Okay.
in so many ways. So it's like I don't need to be that like
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
a selling point. You're not
not a
using
selling
a
point.
selling
Yeah.
point.
Because a lot of people, they do stuff like me and him, we say, and they use that as a selling point. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of like I was exhibiting a month ago in an exhibition, and it was the title was "Feminism is like the voice" or something.
The buzzword, you know.
Yeah, that was it. But just because people, you need to label it for people to kind of understand. Okay, am I interested in this? Do I want to keep watching or not? But for me, labeling things sometimes it limits you and just segregates people without even knowing what is the content. Go check it out and
Yeah.
then label it or say you like it or not.
Yeah.
Don't just say it's just because it's women only doing that. So it's
It's
or
emerging.
yeah, exactly. Men have also their own struggles, you know.
True,
So it's
true,
like we can't just segregate that and say
Trust me, the podcast started talking about men's struggles actually.
yeah.
We did.
So that was our message. So
That was our message.
now then, okay, since that people know how men suffer, let's shed some light.
Well, actually, no. Not a lot of people know, like, not the regular struggles, and the more open about it that men can talk about. A lot of things men can't talk about. A lot of things for me, it was interesting when they come and approach me and they talk to me about like, we can't cry publicly, we can't
Yeah,
do this
true,
publicly, we
true.
can't do that, you know. So
you can't and you shouldn't, as a man or as a woman, you know.
Yeah,
Why?
he's gender rolling. Yeah, he's gender
what's wrong with crying?
Not in public.
Well, what's wrong with crying?
Maybe
in
you can cry in the emergency room.
the toilet.
emergency? Wow. Well, it depends.
If you were injured,
If you want to express it or you feel that you want to cry publicly, it's not because it's publicly. It's just because you want to cry.
True.
At the
So
same
it's
time.
not like indoors, outdoors. It doesn't make sense. You know, just like because.
Listen, man,
Yeah.
she's an artist.
She's an artist.
I am at a session of listening and getting inspired.
You're
right
getting
now.
inspired.
Yeah.
You definitely are.
I'm about to cry live on.
So
Sorry,
back
yeah.
to your film, just because before we get dragged into the feminism. So yeah, you added a lot of noises and a lot of like archive footages, and then
Yeah. Well, it's basically.
and what is it called? I never asked you in the beginning.
The reason,
The
July
reason.
2017.
Okay.
So the why it's July 2017 because a lot of people think that this is when it produced.
Okay.
But
What do you
it's,
mean you think it's?
like you know, it's like when you give you like a title and
Okay.
like the title and then next to it is like this is the year
okay.
of production or this is when it starts screening.
So
or
you already
whatever.
just added it to the title.
But no, but for me it was a day or like a month.
Special day, yeah.
A month that this is when I documented a lot of sketches and I made the film and I made the exhibition is all about documentation of July
Okay.
2017 when I was in Egypt. And then the film is just me going from Alexandria to Cairo on just like in the train and remembering things and just going into this loop of memory and sound and smells and whatever. And it just triggers me and start drawing while I'm on the train. And then by seeing that you'll see different pace. So sometimes it gets really fast, sometimes it gets really slow, and then like silent completely, and you're like, what's gonna happen? You know, it's like these kind of moments.
Yeah.
And I felt it's a different way of showing and portraying why I'm doing this instead of me sitting there telling you now, you know, it's like why I'm doing it, you know.
So you get asked a lot about the reason
my
why
God,
you're doing,
yes.
and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah,
you did
yeah.
this movie.
Because a lot of the people don't understand. It's like
The message is vague.
it looks very abstract. The shapes they look very abstract. You know, it's like it's not a figurative portrait of a person or a cup or you know, it's not the traditional way of seeing it. It's
It's not
you're
this
using,
simple way of storytelling.
yeah,
you know
you're
what I
using abstraction. Abstraction, it's a big,
Complicated.
but it makes you free, you know, because you don't have to follow a lot of rules. You know, it's like the face has to be this certain way,
Yeah.
the angle, the lighting, the lot of things. I'm not doing that. It's just like with a specific line. I created an illusion that you can say like I'm gonna use in my imagination to see like when I told you it's a chair, you'll be like yeah. actually
Now I
looks
know
like
it's a chair, yeah.
Well, it could be a duck, you know. It's like I don't know. It could be something else. But just because I gave you a reference, you'll be like, yeah, this makes sense. This looks like a chair to me, because there is something that you kind of relate to it as a shape.
What's the majority of opinions you hear sometimes from people that have seen? Like,
They're very interested in the abstraction, the approach, and the simplicity of it, because a lot of the times my work is very I don't know, I don't have a specific style, but a lot of the people recognize my style anyway, which is good. But me as an artist, I like to break that, so a lot of the times I use color all the time.
Okay.
And then when they saw me starting using black and white, they were interested to know why I just ignored all the colors in the world and just stick with one color, just one color. But for me, it was when you apply color, it adds more information and it distracts you from the form. So I was like, okay, no, we just stick with black and white. It's just a very bold,
very solid.
So,
and
yeah,
bold,
exactly. So I was like, no, I'm sticking with that, and I started introducing different colors, as you were seeing, like a little bit of pink, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of that, but like mostly it's just black and white.
Okay.
I'm trying to see.
Can I see this one, sir?
Yeah, sure. This one.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is this, real quick?
That was someone in the hospital
Okay.
and getting a treatment.
For the camera and for me as well. So that's where you're allowed to cry, you know.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, is there a little kid or?
I was a person. Yeah, a person, and like getting a treatment for cancer. So yeah, and we have couple.
Tell me, you didn't start sketching in front of him?
Yeah, I did.
Omar, well, that's very artistic.
I did.
It's like that resembles the bold personality that you're known of.
Because well, I was there with them, sitting to get the treatment. So I was there for almost 4 hours. So and people know, if they know me, they know that I'm gonna be either sketching or on my phone editing a picture.
Yeah.
I will take a picture of them, even, you know, like I do a lot of phone photography. So I will not mind documenting everything. I did for my thesis. I vlogged for 10 weeks every single day.
Okay.
So I wanted to produce and capture as much as I can information about the context that I was in, and then produce an outcome for the observations that I was collecting. So I do that all the time. I will be capturing all the time, like these moments to remind me, because when I see the footage after, it reminds me exactly what happened. Sometimes when you depend on your memory, you don't really remember things, and you're like, you don't even, like if you went to an amazing trip, there are a lot of things happen that you feel sometimes when you flip in your phone, you're like, oh my god, all of this happened on the same day, you know.
So this is like your daily diary?
Yeah, kind
but
of.
But it's a reflection of your feelings and the events happening.
Exactly.
I think we need to wrap up because people are kicking in. But
I think I just realized art now, And you
But
just understood art.
but we definitely. I told you, the minute you start understanding art, that's when you're not an artist,
Okay.
right? That's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
So when can they catch your film?
It's today the premiere for it, and at 7.
Okay.
And then there's 2 screenings that's gonna be.
Yeah.
No, 1 screening that's gonna be happening in Novo, and hopefully I'm gonna release it soon. It was screened in UK last month
Alright.
for the world premiere for it, and we'll see. I'm just gonna keep producing more work, and you guys need to come and check it out, like, you know, like the rest of the other stuff that we're gonna do.
We
And
will
the screening.
definitely be checking out
We'll definitely do that.
your film, and it's been great talking to you for a short while.
Thank
We
you.
wish to have fun some more time, actually.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much for having me.
We'll be back again. So goodbye until then.
See you.